It's Championship Sunday here at IEM Katowice, and we're about to get underway with our upper bracket final. It should be a bruiser of a game, but bring out Rapha, the dominator, the big man. He's achieved so much throughout his career, and now he steps on stage for another game, a best of 5, facing off versus Raisy, fresh off the back of his win versus Kilson. Both of them have a lot to prove here in the brawl for the belt. Dan, catch up. This is set to be a truly remarkable matchup. Very different players, very different play styles, a whole lot of aggression, a whole lot of brains. What are we looking forward to?
I'm just looking forward to Quake.
You always give me the best answers. You're, you know, you're very psychological in the way you delve into things, Dan. You really expand, like expanding foam.
Where someone says, where do you want to go out to eat?
Yeah.
Chinese or an Indian?
Yeah, it's like, what do you want to eat?
Yes.
Yeah, both, yeah.
What do you want to eat?
Yeah, that.
Food.
Yeah.
That'll be fine.
It's called facts. I'm being objective.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry that you can't keep up, Jackie.
Oh, my bad. Was that what happened to you when you had to stop playing Quake? You couldn't keep up?
I'm out.
Let's talk about the game.
Go on. This is a historic one we've got coming up. Dan, genuinely, what are you excited for?
I'm excited to see how Rapha deals with the aggression, the power, and the raw skill of Raisy. Like we know all of Rapha's strengths and the way he can outmaneuver players. So if there's anyone, Raisy's unstoppable, right? So if there's anyone that can provide a solution to what Raisy brings, it's going to be Rapha. And if he can do that, I'm really excited to see what he does.
All right, well, let's, before we delve deeper, get straight into the picks and bans, and we can see how this potentially is going to affect the game.
Oh, you're kidding me. What?
What, again?
So, I'm assuming a lot of people that are watching the stream know exactly what we've reacted to. I am shocked that Raisy has been able to get clutch again. It's just something that...
I am and I'm not, right? My logic is the one difference that we've seen with any of this is Blood Covenant is probably the most open map that we have in the pool, right? So Athena can definitely use her grapple to get away. If Raisy's on the low ground, you cannot get to the high ground as a clutch without rocket jumping, whereas Athena can grapple away. And so Rapha's maneuverability and positioning, you can expand the map and pick clutch off with your rails. Like, that's the one thing that might mitigate this pick.
There are two other things about that, though, which does confuse me. The first one is well, I guess technically 3 things. The first one is actually going towards your point that we did see, I believe if memory serves, it was Kilson versus Raisy in the online. I'm sure they played Blood Covenant. It was Kilson versus Raisy. Clutch made it in, and it was on Blood Covenant. And Raisy actually struggled quite significantly with the clutch on that.
Yeah.
To the point where he was kind of flying around the map, wasn't really able to get anything going. There was a small moment where he had some momentum, but for the most part, it was a confident win. The other side is Rapha is a player that often takes no chances, and it's something that he's actually kind of said in the past is if you know someone plays a clutch of that level, why risk it?
But clutch aside, but we'll talk about that here.
Yeah, we can go into that forever.
The one thing I see from Rapha's picks is he's picked beefy champions. He's picked champions where he goes, if you want to run at me, Raisy, I'm going to make sure, knowing Rapha, he has a full stack as much of the time as possible. He's in the best position as he can be to return that damage, right? He's got a Keel in there. He's got an Ice in there who's pretty tanky. He's got a Scale Bearer in there. Even the Strogan Pika, pretty quick, but also relatively tanky. Yes, Athena's the one that isn't, but he's picked that against the clutch, or in return of the clutch, to outmaneuver the clutch. Because there's no one the clutch that outstacks the clutch. You may as well pick the most maneuverable one you can play with. And with the next band, not really confident picking the Anarchy, I think with Athena's split levels, that's a really good pick on Blood Covenant.
Yeah, and then for the rest of the maps, Veil of Nath, we get to see Rapha and his Keel on Veil, which is a very dangerous combination that he's had great success with in the past. The Galena coming out from Raisy, which is a champion that he is often very creative with. Corrupted Keep is kind of a standard one. BJ being removed makes a lot of sense for that kind of map. Awoken, again, it's kind of some of the standard picks really, and then Blood Run for the decider. The Scale Bearer as a direct sort of answer to where Slash is there too could also work wonders for the reasons you mentioned, right?
Exactly.
It's all about the stack. And that Rapha, his aim has been on point this weekend.
But what we see from Raisy, fairly standard picks, but it's about aggression. Like we saw the Doom, he was amazing with the Doom. We've got Anarchy in there, we've got a Slash in there, we've got a Clutch in there. The only one that isn't aggression is Galena, and that's on Veil, where we see what Raisy likes to do is control that high ground around the Mega, outlay his totems there and just kind of build a fortress. Obviously, Keel can just bust through that with a big enough stack. So it's going to be a real great game of strategy, I think.
Yeah, I think across the board, obviously what we got from the veto there is a lot in store in this series. It's going to be an amazing game, and there's a lot on the line between the two of them as well. Both of them playing amazing Quake so far this tournament. I know it's going to be hard to give an active prediction on this one, but who are you thinking takes this?
Yeah, I mean, it's really. I think it'll go to a 3-2.
Okay.
And my gut's saying Raisy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Ryan?
I think with the form, you kind of go by how people have been playing this weekend is normally a pretty good indication for how someone's shaping up. These two players look like the two strongest players of the weekend, which is why it's so hard to make this prediction. I do agree that it's 3-2, but I'm going to go with Rapha. It just feels like this is his opportunity to finally take that opportunity to win Pro League. This may not be finals.
What's giving him the edge there for you, though, Ryan, specifically? What is it about Rapha now in this tournament so far? If you're saying based off the performance we've had, why has he got the edge?
It's how prepared he always is, and how whenever we've seen players or teams, whatever the game mode was in history, if there was some team or player that brought a unique edge to it that would overwhelm almost everybody, Rapha would always be the one player that it would either work on once and then never work on again. The first map might be that kind of getting the general pace of Raisy together. There may be some early success coming out from Raisy here, but once Rapha kind of gets that download, I do think he's in with a really good shot.
Well, let's find out. We're ready to kick this one off. Rapha, the professor, as you said, if there's anyone that can try and overcome the unique strategy Raisy has, it would be him, but time will tell. It's a best of 5. Take it away.
And if anyone can stop this clutch, Rapha. If Rapha can't stop this clutch, surely we will never see it again throughout the rest of this tournament in the picks and bans. I know, I do agree with what you said there, Sex, about the open space for clutch. It was definitely more reactionary to the fact that it even existed here, but when Raisy has struggled in Pro League with the clutch, this is the map it's happened on.
There's such an expansive map, so many open areas. I think Rapha more than anyone will be using other weaponry, things like the tri-bolt, things like the nail gun. That's what some of the classical counters we saw to clutch back in the day, because it's such an easy target to hit and they do an immense amount of damage when you're able to stack them up. But ultimately, I think Rapha wants to slow down the pace. He doesn't want to commit at all, obviously, until he's got the clutch at a very low level. I don't think the vials will be anywhere near as important as they used to be. But Rapha, as we can see, already hitting some great rails and Raisy finding it hard. Rapha just wants to keep his distance.
It's that combination of how both of these champions move at the speed of light, but one is giant and one is not. Even though Raisy's aim is disgustingly strong, Athena is still, because of just the unpredictability of where she can go, she is going to be a little bit harder to pin down than most. Rapha not quite having the same level of trouble. Raisy is taking a lot of damage. The shield was used, keeps him alive long enough to survive another one, but it might be too late. Rapha takes so much damage. He has got the Mega about to spawn, but depending on the spawn that Raisy gets, it might still be tricky.
Yeah, I'll be very surprised if Raisy decides to push in here. If he does, and he does, Rapha misses the grapple. He has got. Can Raisy get him? Wow.
That was unfortunate for Rapha.
Yeah, if he had got that mega health, he would have got the kill. Insanely unfortunate. And that's given Raisy a big edge to push in. But look at the damage, and this is the vulnerability. There's so much space to work with. Raisy couldn't get in range to finish him off with the shotgun.
And at the same time, if the shotgun hit its first shot, Rapha might have been in death's door just a little bit. It's just down to that immediate miss where Raisy had to last minute swap weapon just due to the heavy being picked up in the first place. Shield wall is ready to go again. And
he has to pop it, yeah.
Just to guarantee.
You can see it is very effective. He's still got a huge stack because of it, despite taking a rail and a few bullets of that heavy machine gun. And as we said in the start, Rapha's going to be using all weaponry to the most effect because, particularly with a heavy machine gun, you can just keep whittling away. But Rapha's aim, his rail in particular, has been significantly on point so far. So if he can keep that up, I'm not feeling too confident for Raisy in this encounter.
And a good rail, it's mandatory against a clutch of this pace.
Well, but the problem is that, for me, the rail is more important for Raisy, because he needs to hit a rail to close the gap, because Rapha's the one that's going to be chipping away. So Raisy's return rails are the most important feature of this duel.
Right, the armor gets taken once more by Rapha. A nice delay in between the two of them, in fact. But the rocket's coming through. Raisy is going to eat one of them, but he's out of there for now.
And this is it. Raisy's just playing the back channels, playing down below, because he can't afford to come out in the open. He's already learned the lesson that Rapha's going to be the one that's challenging him.
I need to see Rapha super aware of the angles that Raisy can try and hit. Like he knows exactly who he's up against, and this does, in a lot of ways, come down to that preparation that we talked about. If you see Raisy pick a clutch on a map that is this open, I mean, you have had previous VODs that you can study anyway, but Rapha just looks so ready for this. However, he's getting caught. There is the Athena benefit there, getting caught on a jump pad. You can use a grappling hook to go down a little bit faster, and hang on a minute, misses the rail. Would have really liked that one to hit, I think.
Yeah, that really should have been hit. That's the easiest rail that he's missed so far, and that would have killed Raisy as well. But perfect read. He's already identified what Raisy's small tricks are. It's the second or third time Raisy has tried to do that double jump back across the jump pad to get into the mega health area, and Rapha's already reading it. So much like we said, he spoke about earlier on stage, just thinking faster than Raisy for once.
Now, Rapha, it's all about information. We have a good stack.
It's forced out the shield. That might be enough. He is going to go up, though, which is a big risk. But that perfect timing coming out from Rapha. Raisy forced to pop the shield early, meant it faded by the time Rapha went up the jump pad, and a good use to Athena.
I really love watching Rapha's Athena. That's the entire reason he went up the jump pad in the first place. I think if he didn't have the grappling hook, there was a 0% chance he was going to go for it. However, he's taking a bunch of damage. Raisy now looking to see what he can get from it. Looks like he's being really aggressive. Raisy, one of the most scary things you can watch.
Oh, once again, he's failing the grapple, but you can see the thought process there. Raisy trying to close the gap because he can't afford to take these long-range fights, and that's what Rapha's forcing. He's missed the mega. Raisy's in a hell of a lot of trouble because he hasn't got an answer to what Rapha's bringing out at the minute. You can see Rapha just understanding the movement, what Raisy needs, and making sure he's always at the longest range possible.
Shield wall comes up again, but to no avail. 0% chance Raisy's going to survive that. He was fresh off the spawn, didn't have the weapons, didn't have the stack, and he's going into his next life without a shield wall. So it's going to be the game of speed. Let's just try and get in and out, avoid angles.
I don't think we've seen Rapha use a rocket beyond trying to hit Raisy from distance. Like, this is the game plan. Keep the clutch at a distance. Yes, the clutch looks insanely overpowered on maps like Awoken when you can close the gap, but Rapha's not going to let that happen. So at the minute, Raisy looks rather clueless.
But Rapha, even if Raisy's the one that looks uncomfortable, and we've seen shades of this before, when Raisy struggled on this map with clutch, it's actually been the same way, where it just looks like when he can't get his rhythm going, he's not necessarily sure kind of...
Look at Rapha, as soon as the clutch tries to push, he just grapples away, and as soon as he hits that rail, he's in for the kill.
Oh my word, Rapha survives.
And that was even with a mega health. Like Raisy, if he's in a lot of trouble.
And now Rapha is extremely weak. There's that in and out. Perfectly times the rail with the jump pad, so he's not going to be in as much risk. But that clock is starting to tick.
Yeah. Although Rapha is low, and Raisy knows that this is why he's going to push in. There is a grapple if he needs to get away, but with a lot of room to dodge and only a shotgun in his hand, he is finding it difficult. He does get the kill, but with 13 health remaining, there's not a lot to work with off the bat. He needs to get a rail, but Rapha's already there, and he's hit him.
Perfect spawn, really, for Rapha. He's got the best weapon for the job. He's got the mobility to get up there to find the angle. Raisy is extremely weak now, and all the time it takes for him to restack, if he even survives, which he doesn't, now he really has to start paying attention to the clock. Rapha's not really going to be able to run away in any degree. You can't run away from a clutch because of his speed, but Raisy, he's getting hit on the way anyway. There is a lot of damage that you kind of have no choice but to accept. It's why Raisy tends to be as aggressive as he is, because he understands I'm eating damage whether I like it or not, so I need to just outgun you. But Rapha is, in many cases, the one that's outgunning him, and it was from the moment this map begun, to the missed rails from Raisy, to the connected ones from Rapha, you kind of knew how these exchanges would go. Raisy's pressuring on, but again, the damage is insane. Can't even deny the heavy. That would have been a silver lining, if anything, but it's still not going to work out. The large hitbox of clutch, the super shotgun, the large boy more vulnerable to the spread.
And we said against Kilson, throw the map away, it was clutch. I'm saying now, throw the map away, it was clutch. It was a masterclass by Rapha to pick Athena. I think this was always going to be hard for Raisy, no matter what the challenge, because I don't think clutch is that powerful on Blood Covenant. But Rapha's showing us why Athena is so strong. He's using the grapples to perfection in these in-game fights. As soon as Raisy gets in his face, grapple away. Go back to mid-range. I don't want to fight you in close range.
And now Raisy has no choice but to be aggressive. Shield all gets popped. Full assault. However, No armor.
What's he meant to do? Once again,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're taking more damage than you're dishing out for the most part.
Grapple just got him away so quickly. He moves faster than Clutch. So he's at a longer range, meaning Raisy had taken 200 damage by the time he even got into range to lightning gun Rapha. Then he had the mega health to fall back on. There's just nothing Raisy can do in this encounter.
Is he? Oh, he can't even get that pickup frag right there, making it a 12-2. And this is a game plan executed perfectly, if anything.
It feels to me, I think Rapha picked this map. It feels to me that it was a bait. He's like, I'm going to pick Blood Covenant, and he had a strategy. I'm going to pick Blood Covenant, and I'm going to leave Clutch in the pool. I want you to take the Clutch. This feels like it was pre-planned from the picking stage.
For it to not be banned out, I think is, if anything, really just case in point for itself. And it's because it's worked to perfection as well.
This is the one, like I said, this is the one map where I'm not confident with Clutch. Any other map, yeah, some of them are more difficult than others, like Ruins is a little bit difficult, but you can work around that. This map is just so open.
And we have a minute left on the clock now. Rapha, 0% chance he's going to lose this map, and in the dominant fashion he's took it, this is an absolutely fantastic way to kickstart the winners bracket final. And at this point, Raisy just finally manages to get a frag, but way too little too late. And we are starting to see really the weaknesses of Clutch come into full effect, because there's no denying that Raisy is the greatest Clutch player out there, and when even this looks tricky for him, I think Rapha's onto something, and we've seen the exact same thing from I'm sure it was Kilson in the past.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, Athena makes it look a lot easier than it is, because he can just get in position much earlier than the Clutch. He's faster than the Clutch. Rapha was just using those grapples perfectly. Other champions would have struggled. Like if this was a Ranger, for instance, he would have struggled. I reckon Rapha still would have made it work, but it's a lot easier to close the gap, whereas you can never close the gap against Athena on this map.
Well, GG's coming out for that first map now, potentially foreshadowing of what's to come, who knows. All we know for now is that Rapha is continuing that preparation. And we've been talking about it all weekend, and it's always something that's brought up, that Rapha is more ready for opponents, I think, more than a lot of players out there.
Yeah,
he just has the experience, the brain.
It feels like that was a deliberate strategy in the pick and bans to let Raisy go ahead with that. If it wasn't, then he found the perfect counter and he knew what he was doing from the start. I was hugely impressed by that thought process and the execution of Rapha. His aim was spectacular. Yeah, it's a lot easier against the Clutch, but we saw earlier that Kilson barely hit the Clutch because of the way Raisy was playing. So I'm not worried for Raisy. Like, that was out strategy for that map. Now we're back to square one, where it should be a bit more even in terms of the outlay and the competition.
Well, we should be moving on shortly into our next map. See if memory serves. I believe it was Veil of Nath where we see the Keel come into play.
I believe you're right, Keel Galena, yeah.
Normally a slightly later map you can see in the rotation right now, but in this case it's going to be early on. The Keel was going to almost be a flip side effect from one heavy to another, this time they're in the hands of Rapha on a map that he has historically had great success with, and he was the first dominant player on that map, but who was the first player that brought a challenge to him on that map? Raisy. Yeah. Raisy was the only player that could stop him.
Raisy plays that map very well. We saw him put a convincing performance against Chain on that map using the Galena. So obviously these are both comfort picks now. Rapha, we saw him in the QPL dominating with Kill. He uses it better than anyone else on that map. The grenades particularly well. And like we said in the opening segment, he's picked champions now where he can stack up. He's had his time where he wanted to outmaneuver the Clutch. Now he's saying, I'm going to take fights, I'm going to be stacked, and he will still outmaneuver you. So Raisy's the one that has to raise the bar.
Well, we're moments away from finding out. Looks like I spied on Rapha's screen in the camera shot that we should be loading in very, very soon. But the Veil, this is a unique map in a lot of ways. There's just so many levels to it, and there are so many layers here that Raisy, if he can really try and control that high ground, get the Galena totems on deck, it can often be quite effective here. But the Keel, so good at just forcing himself onto points. The damage is insane. He has got the heavy stack, and Rapha, he has so much experience with this combination of Keel and Veil that he has often been highly successful with.
Raisy is in an awful lot of pain at the moment as he's trapped around. He hasn't even picked up the light armor, should I say. Now he has, but those stack of Keel is the thing that keeps him alive. Not great execution from Rapha, but enough to pick up a lead just before the major items spawn. And they're going to trade as Rapha goes around to pick up that Mega.
He's going to take a little bit of totem damage, but that's okay if he's able to get the Mega at the very least. Raisy getting some really good rockets. You actually saw that from Rapha. A little bit surprised at just how much damage he took in a short space of time. But right now, the grenades.
Yeah, a bit of frustration, I think, is a dangerous push by Raisy just to move in with that rocket against in a mid-range fight as anything. He's kind of trapped here with the grenades bouncing around him, but he gets out and Rapha's found him over at the light armor in the acid area. But as we see so often from Raisy, the low ground lightning gun is one of his fortes.
And now Raisy's just looking for a free opportunity to squeeze in and try and get out, but rocket into grenade. I do love that strat with Keel, where sometimes a player will almost like fire the two of them simultaneously.
Yeah.
If you've got the right kind of look with your mouse and you fire them both at the same time, the damage you do is ridiculous.
It's basically a double rocket.
Yeah, just short of.
Insane.
And what's even more insane to Sex is that stack that Rapha's working on.
Yeah, this is what he does well. Doesn't need to play at a high tempo, but still makes it work. And you can see, look, this is what he wants to do. Just pick up a bigger stack and then fight Raisy, because Raisy's not afraid to fight, but Rapha with a bigger stack and his aim is on point, that's all he needs.
And now Raisy's trying super hard to get access to that Mega. Without any armor though, he's got to be quite careful, and he can't even take time at that moment to detour and get the light armor. Like, it was just too much of a risk. It was too much of an obvious rocket angle.
No, but as much as Rapha can build up a bigger stack than Raisy, he's always going to put a conscious effort to make sure Raisy doesn't get to his full potential, because that's still very scary.
Oh, a little bit of drive-by damage. This is that game.
Rocket jump up? No, he's not going to risk it. He's going to skirt around. Hope Raisy bases out. He does come up to fight, but this time Raisy learns his lesson from last time and gets out of there.
But Rapha's the one in the lead here. That's always what you have to focus on, is that as long as he's maintaining stack and as long as he has the frag lead, he's kind of the one that's dictating the pace of what's going on here. You know, he's able to catch sight of Raisy just a little bit. He's in a better position at the very least for the Mega. I think realistically, Rapha, you always want to try and get your hands on both of them. But he's going to be a little bit timid here. Doesn't want to give too much up. The rail is going to miss, and Raisy has to use these teleporters to just try to elude him just a small amount. But as long as Rapha controls this high ground, he knows where Raisy's position is. They've gone for a trade, but it did set him up.
He is trapped though. He could use the grenade to spam him out, but decides just to play it safe. 3-1 lead, pick up a light armor or two. And this time Raisy's got a good foothold to make a fight for this next Mega or Heavy if he wants to. Rapha obviously favouring the Mega health room at the moment. Slightly more protected.
And he's pretty much set up shop here the past couple of minutes, really. It has given him a good angle to try and control both of them, even if he doesn't manage to get access to the Heavy.
This is it, right? It's a lot safer of an item to pick up overall. You can isolate the room better, whereas that Heavy is exposed. So, as you say, can get in to do damage over and above it if he needs to.
Raisy was able to quickly just cheekily get in and out with both of those items there, which is a nice little victory for no damage in return. It's just Rapha, as long as he's holding this high ground, he's the one that's kind of able to keep that information on Raisy. And again, going back to the fact that ultimately he's the one with the frag lead, if he just keeps his basic stack up, he challenges him going towards the Mega. Can he hold it long enough? Here come the grenades, but none of them are going to hit their mark just yet. Only 50 health remaining for Rapha, and that is not a good number. Here comes Raisy as well, looking to cut him off, and he is going to be successful. Only one frag separates the two players now. But Rapha, he wasted a good amount of time, but there's still plenty of this map left to go.
He did, but now Raisy's the one we're positioning. Raisy's the one that's going to be picking up these major items. So Rapha has to work very hard to try and get Raisy away from anything. He's a bit of trouble here because he's got him caught. Even with that Mega, Rapha's going to find this hard to win this fight.
Especially with those grenades just slightly missing. Good rail, but not good enough.
This is the problem now. Raisy's knocked him off his perch. The rhythm is distorted. We can see that Rapha needs to get back on the high ground, but as a heavy champion such as Keel, he has a lot of work to do to get the right weaponry, to get back stacked, to get in position. Raisy made it count.
But at this stage, Raisy, he heard that, so at least he's going to have the timing. And, hang on a minute. Here comes a Rapha flying in from out of nowhere. But it was enough time.
Oh, what a totem that was.
Wonder if he can manage to seize this one and chase it down. You can see Rapha's kind of really fighting for it, but he's quite weak. Hit by a rail, and that's bad news for Rapha.
He's going to push in. He's still got a lot of health. Remember, he is a Keel. There's some health in that room. So eating that up, because now Raisy's pretty weak, but that's an unbelievable rail just through the doorway.
These rails from Raisy have been super solid. I know Keel is a heavy champion, but he's not kind of as wide as some of the other heavies as you would think, with some of the angles anyway. Rapha out of armor for now, but he makes up for it more than happily in health. And as Raisy now is trying to go back and heal up nicely. Not a lot of this map left to go. It's going to be nice and even so far. Totem's almost up. The grenades not fully hitting their mark just yet. Raisy's in a good position to try and get a punish of the teleport at the very least. Minimal damage on the rocket. They're going to start to exchange them, and that one hurts Raisy. What do you do now, mate? Goes in for as much damage as he can. And it does mean that if he's able to catch him here with a good weapon, he can kind of undo the work of that heavy. It kept Rapha alive just long enough, but Raisy, without the armor, he doesn't want to be a sitting duck. Can't give up a direct rocket, can't give up a rail.
But every one of these fights now is just so tooth and nail. They're so close. And Rapha's game plan currently is working. He's making sure all of these fights, he's got the stack advantage. He's generally on the high ground, forcing them in the close corridor. Raisy's damage output, as per usual, is pretty insane.
And with the stack he's working on, should he choose to be aggressive, he likely can right now. Rapha's in a good position though. However, he's been forced to jump down. Yeah, right before Mega, he's been forced to retreat, and that's unfortunate. Raisy's going to chase it, and now the reward.
Shake of the head, that's so uncharacteristic from Rapha. Like, no idea when the Mega is, just standing on top of it. Of course you're going to die.
But it's also what that means. Look at Raisy's stack and the momentum that he's riding off of it. Thankfully, as this is Veil, it's not super hard to get access to the main weapons. So Rapha, he's locked and loaded and ready for a fight if it breaks out.
You can see how powerful the totems are on that teleport. Even though you know they're there, it's pretty much the only route up. So you're always going to have to eat some damage going through. Rapha sticking around to deal a lot of damage, going to block the exit with some spam. Nearly catches him jumping onto him, and this time the rockets are good enough. Rapha walks away with 20 health, but straight onto one major item. Might be able to secure the second. Raisy sees him up the jump pad. Is he going to risk it? Yes, he is.
It's a very Raisy decision to go up that jump pad anyway. Like, he knew Rapha had an angle on him. The play to just delay it a little bit, but going up there all the same, some players would definitely not even have taken that risk. But Raisy, he is the eternal risk taker. If he truly believes it's the right thing to do, because, you know, in that moment, he just, maybe he feels good about his aim, maybe he'll get a sick rail somewhere.
It's pure faith in your aim with calculated risk. Because yes, he's going to go up, but if Rapha wants to hit him, what he's saying is, I'll hit you back. And he knew Rapha was low from the last encounter. Because of that, he had position on the Mega, and he also has position on the Heavy. Although he knows it's a trap, he understands where Rapha is. And that return rail was crucial from Rapha to keep Raisy from pushing in any further. But it comes through the teleporter, drops on top of Rapha. The lightning gun is good, but not enough just yet. Rapha's trapped and should be going down and cannot do enough damage with the rockets.
Not a bad result for Raisy either, because he has the stack to contest with a freshly spawned Rapha. Rapha spawns near the rocket launcher room. Combine that with a natural stack of Keel, and he's ready to fight.
From Rapha, understanding how important it is to make sure he steals away these items. With the amazingly strong starting stack from Keel, he can afford to go up if he steals it, which he does. Yes, he comes out low, but he gets the frag as well. Nice rocket, good rail from Raisy. Is he going to stick with the rocket? Oh, luckily he doesn't stick with the rail.
However, you always have to match up spawn stack versus barely survived frag. It's always so scary going up against those larger champions, but here comes Galena. The totems just stop the bleeding, put him back up to a decent amount. It did take a little bit of time though. As you can see, Rapha did just snap up the Mega a few seconds ago, which means he's trying to deny here. Shut down that Heavy.
Trouble. Once he's got this Heavy, I can imagine that Rapha's going to pick up the tempo with 30 seconds to go. He knows that there's nothing up for Raisy. He's also more than aware of where Raisy is, so he's going to filter around through the light armor area, seed it out, and then push in. Good. It's not going to stop Rapha's momentum though. That's amazing important rail. He knows he's got him on the edge now, and he kills him with 20 seconds to go. Is there anything Raisy can do? I don't know.
Yeah, combine that with the fact there's a light and there's a Mega right there to take. He should have a decent amount of rockets. He's got the grenades. I mean,
he's just going to stand here and just stand in the choke point.
Unless Raisy were to just get a lucky telefrag just in case Rapha was at the teleporter location. That's pretty much all that would have happened. Rapha's not even going to risk that. That's a perfect demonstration, though, of its game plans. Its game plans coming out every map.
Yeah, that's it, right? That it is a game plan from Rapha. He knew exactly what he was doing. He used the stack advantage of Keel to steal away items and just maintain these strong positions in areas to, if you're going to fight me, look at this, if you're going to fight me, I've got the stack advantage, let's go mano a mano. And Raisy's always going to take him to that, and some of the time he came out on top, but Rapha made sure, more often than not, he was low. And then Rapha could pick up the pace off the spawn, as you said, he comes up with a big spawn advantage and is able to go in with a bigger stack than he left Raisy with.
But all in all, it's that combination too of why we start to see heavier champions favored on a map like Vale at the same time. There were more than one occasion where Raisy was able to get a frag, but he was crazy weak.
Yeah.
But Rapha with the spawning stack of, you know, Keel, Sorlag, doesn't matter, sometimes Scale Bearer. It's all about a champion where, okay, well I just got fragged, but if I still keep timing, I'm going to spawn near some kind of important weapon. How weak realistically are you, and how likely is it we're going to just fight again? Rapha just goes in swinging on a map like this.
The layout of Vale is such where you can do that to great effect. You don't even need to really leave that mega area. You're protected up by the teleporter. You've got free access to the mega health and to the heavy armor. You don't even need to get the heavy armor. You can do insane damage raining down from above. So it's kind of just a little small back and forth between the two. But the way in which Rapha played that map, I do expect similar throughout. It's a little bit slimmer, a little bit faster with Strong and Peaking now, because he uses that to great effect too.
But what a result this would be for Rapha if he's able to score a 3-0 here.
Yeah,
I've got to say, not the result a lot of people would have thought would happen here. You always get the impression that the two of them are evenly matched with just how dominant they have been collectively.
I mean, look at that. That was a 6-6 game at 9 minutes 40. And Rapha, the only reason he got that final kill is because of that incredible rail just up by the side of the grates that knocked Raisy down to a low level. So that map was as close as it could have been. As we said earlier, first map, wiped that clean. That was just a bad encounter, bad matchup. That 6-6 was just what we wanted to see.
Now we'll see if it's going to be just as close on our final map, Corrupted Keep. Corrupted Keep, not really a map that's famous for being close as of recently, where you can really start to just chain those frags over and over again. But again, it's both players that have been effective at doing that. We literally just saw Raisy. It was, what was it, 3 minutes?
Yeah,
demolishing the first frag.
I think Raisy will take this map. We know how powerful Strong and Peaking can be on this particular map because of the lack of the railgun. And obviously we'll see what Rapha has to bring. Raisy wants to bring the pace. Like we saw that even with his Galena, he was up against a Keel, but any time he could, he was increasing the pressure. And on Corrupted Keep, it's definitely easier to pressure your opponent than on Vale that has so many levels and so many corridors. Corrupted Keep, for how small it is quite an open map through the mid ground. Like around that around that heavy armor is quite open. Even in the mega area, it's quite open. The area is quite expansive. So if he does what he does against Avec, it's going to be a hard game for Rapha.
There are also two players that are masters of pressuring you off spawn. They have a lot of knowledge over just how to handle your own respawn. It's how they can kind of create that snowball that likes to roll on a map like Corrupted. We've seen it plenty of times from both of them against various people over not only just this LAN, but just the Quake Pro League in general. Raisy, both players actually, quite scientists in their own way. Rapha definitely brings more of the player versus player experience. It's what's been separating him for so many years, that there's rarely a player out there that he hasn't got this extensive research on mentally. Raisy, he is always come across as a highly unique specimen where you need to have a lot of experience against him to really be able to hold a candle in a fight. But Rapha, I mean, of course he's the player that is prepared for all of this. I'm not surprised for that, but if this is a 3-0, that is not what I expected.
No, nor do I. But it was as close as it could be last map, and probably the most impressive thing to me was the way in which Rapha nullified any fights where Raisy could abuse his aim. Every time Raisy had to push into Rapha, it was a fight he didn't really want to take. Like, there wasn't any times that we saw against Killson where Raisy just absolutely abused his aim, like outright fights where Rapha got dominated. No, that didn't happen. It was difficult fights where Raisy was going in on the back foot and had a lot of work to do if he wanted to get the kill. So if he can make that happen on Corrupted Keep, he will win, but I'm going to still favor Raisy on this map.
Well, we are moments away from finding out Rapha versus Raisy. Is Rapha going to score a 3-0 here in the upper bracket?
There's going to be a fight for this mega. Oh my dear, Raisy's in a lot of trouble with that rocket.
And the immediate double jump coming out. That is good knowledge there from Raisy. Okay, you've spawned near rocket launcher. It's likely all you have. So I'm going to just double jump for days because that is Doomslayer's answer for rockets in general.
Well, I mean, look at the confidence of Raisy. He gets hit by a full rocket. Yes, he gets the mega, but he gets hit by a full rocket. He's going in at Rapha through a choke point, who has the rocket launcher, and he still pushes.
You definitely feel like part of that confidence must have just been the fact that he's going in with a really tidy Doomslayer. However, LG, we talk about Doomslayer, he loves the rocket launcher. What doesn't he love? The lightning gun. That is the bane of his existence. Shuts down the double jump completely.
True.
And now Rapha's pressuring forward. He has a whole bunch of armor to work with Raisy. You know, he's kind of the master of slipping out that surprise damage, so Rapha doesn't want to play too many games with it, but he's in a better position here for the Mega as it's about to spawn, and wait a minute, Raisy right around the corner, he's going to get melted all the same, 2-1, and a Mega as a reward. Shut down that light just for good measure, and from this point, Rapha, he's got a good start here.
He does, a very good start. He's out-raising Raisy. That was an unusual push as Raisy was waiting around the corner, but Rapha clearing out the area, making sure the Mega is safe and secure, and catches a wild Raisy.
From this stage, Rapha, he has that timing in his head all the time. He took a little bit of bonus damage. Going in for the blasters. He's the teleporter, but yeah, a little bit too out in the open, and Raisy not shy of just pressuring that at all. You actually saw from Rapha, I think he acknowledges, yeah, stuck out there a bit too long. Berserk. This is a bit risky. He's going to be vulnerable to the point blank with a shotgun. Didn't do enough damage for a couple of times. Raisy could have actually got a couple of punches there, but it is the bane of Berserk. You get stuck into melee. Doomslayer has to fly across the screen. The super shotgun is basically the best weapon you can have out for that occasion.
Yeah, I wouldn't have said that was a deliberate use of the Berserk. I thought he had better weapons he could have picked.
If it was a mistake, I don't think it would have really surprised either of us, purely because just when he used it, and for a couple of seconds he's standing around like, hey, wait, what? It almost like it took him by surprise.
Yeah, that was a bit weird, but nevertheless, yeah.
4-1 out for Berserk. But in this instance, Rapha, he's got tons of stack once more. Raisy, I mean, Rapha has just been consistently shutting down these lights, and the one he can't shut down, he's kind of sitting around just in case. And now he knows he can retreat to it if need be. Raisy's going to be nowhere to be found. And he hasn't had armor for quite a while.
No, Rapha realizing the light's still up, so Raisy must be around there somewhere, but Raisy's not. He's setting up a trap over by the heavy. Hasn't moved in a good 15 seconds. He's still there, but Rapha scuts past him. He's able to push in. I'm really enjoying the use of the Pika.
Yeah.
Knows Raisy wants to take these fights around the around choke points, and instead of just committing, Rapha's using the Pika to scout it out and do a significant amount of damage, and Raisy's struggling with that.
It's sending quite a significant message to Raisy. I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see him kind of go to that strategy a little bit less now, or at the very least he's going to be a little bit more proactive.
Raisy did get the Mega though, and that's not good for Rapha. He doesn't have the weapons to really compete, but Rapha's super low.
Plenty of health bubbles nearby, as is the nature of Corrupt to keep both players low. And without armor, could have gone either way, but Raisy just had inches of a better LG in that exchange. Raisy quite tender here. Heavy has just spawned, so that's going to be a saving grace, absolutely. 5-3.
What Rapha's doing a good job of is he's capitalizing on the speed differential here. So he's outmaneuvering Raisy in a lot of these fights to get into better positions. So Rapha's again one of the masters of that, to take fights on his terms. And that's what the speed of Struggle Pika allows you to do, because in all intents and purposes, Doom is a really slow champion.
Looking for his opportunity just to get some damage. Raisy once more finds himself without some armor though, which is the problem, and Rapha is going to snap up that heavy at the same time.
That was a perfect example of what I was just talking about. He knows where Raisy is. Raisy's trying to set up for a trap, but the speed of Struggle just got him in the right position to make sure he was the one in advantage.
Kamikaze, can he take it out? Barely.
Yeah.
He's so weak though. And Rapha knows where he is. It's not just, even if the Pika goes down, you don't always use the Pika for complete damage. If it goes down, you still know where they are, you still know where they're going. If they've just picked something up, you can see it. Information overload sometimes, but Rapha, again, maintaining that full control as he has been for a lot of this series now.
Dangerous for Rapha. Raisy's low, but he's not in a good position. Raisy's just not hitting any rockets at the moment.
Yeah, that was surprising. Almost like he was expecting Rapha to push forward, and he never did. And at the same time, Rapha's intelligent change to the lightning gun. Like, that was originally, in a lot of cases, that would have been a rocket fight, but because of the excessive use of that double jump, the lightning gun is the guaranteed answer for that. Yeah, absolutely beautiful play there with the Pika. Looking like it should be another frag against him. Raisy's going to fall for another time. 8-3. 5-minute warning has been ticked off. And Raisy, at this point, he's in trouble.
He is in trouble. Rapha's reading every single move, and every time, we said earlier, Raisy loves to set up these traps around corners and do these weird positions. Rapha's like, well, if I know you're roughly there, I'm just going to use the Pika to find out where you are and then deal 75 damage. So at least, so it's he's just got Raisy's number at every turn, and he's not being drawn into any scrappy brawls.
And Rapha, I love this choice to just go and starve Raisy of everything. You've done so much damage. Raisy does try to retreat down to that lower teleporter again because of all the cover that's nearby. We saw that earlier today. But in this kind of encounter, Raisy has no stack, and in all the time it's taken Rapha to go and heal up and get a full stack back, Raisy only just barely got max HP. Like he's completely starved of important resources. Rapha is taking away as much of them as possible. There's no light down there. You know, it's only just spawned. Rapha has the timing on it perfectly. He timed the light perfectly. Raisy tries to go in there. There's nothing to be found, and you're dead.
He's making it look easy. The speed is out.
He really is Raisy.
Raisy can't. Yeah, he can't cope with the speed of Rapha.
And Rapha's been just playing this at 1,000 miles an hour from map 1 to what's looking like the end of map 3 and the Pika. Mwah, beautiful stuff.
Absolutely perfect. He knows where Raisy is. Let's use the Pika to scout him out. Raisy tries to commit while he does it, and Rapha jumps out and kills him. And once again, he's going to die. This is turning into a bloodbath for Raisy.
It is a shocking amount of how Rapha can fight a highly oppressive opponent and do the exact same thing in return.
Well,
you just never see this.
Rapha's out aiming Raisy in a lot of these situations. Like that lightning just there. Raisy's now looking a bit lost. Yes, he's getting this desperation mode because there's 9 frags in it. But these are, when Rapha's aiming as well as he is, they're fruitless endeavors.
Waits for him to cover a safe distance and get the Pika out for good measure. A little bit of bonus damage. It's going to be time. Raisy is going to get this frag in the end, but sad to say, likely that we've hit that point of no return for another time. Raisy, you have to kind of just wish on a miracle in this situation. There's no way Rapha's going to let up. He's denied the heavy at least. I mean,
Rapha's just set up in every situation for every move Raisy wants to do.
And from this stage, Zerg gets popped. I mean, he should still die. Maybe get one. They trade, best case scenario for Rapha, because it's just going to continue. It's going to make things more obnoxious for Raisy, and for just all the maps that we've seen here, Rapha, you know, we've said in droves how prepared Rapha is for every opponent, regardless of how insane the level is of whoever he's against. This is a perfect example of that Raisy has been dismantling people left, right, and center all weekend. And we're about to end this map on a 16-5 minimum and a 3-0.
And yes, I mean, to me, Rapha came in with a clear game plan on every single map. He thought about the champion matchup, he thought about the map matchup, and he just picked champions that outplayed and outmaneuvered Raisy. Map 1, Athena, destroyed Clutch. Yes, it was Blood Covenant. I think that was a trap. Map 2, pick the kill. He knows it's a map he's going to have the ball on. Pick the tankiest champion he can find. Map 3, Raisy picks Doom. It's a strong champion, but it's not a quick champion. So what does Rapha do? He picks the quickest champion he can, make sure he gets in better fighting positions than Raisy, as well as using that Pika to perfection. So every single one of these maps, you could take good learnings from them, but it was how individualized his strategy was that really impressed me.
And those strategies come heavily from just how much experience Rapha has against every individual player at this level of play. Like, you could definitely say that this is the first time he's kind of adopted this exact strategy because he's against Raisy. He knows who he's been going up against, and it's just preparation. He's just had it in droves, and he continues to, and this makes him, without question, the most dominant player of this tournament, and he absolutely has the most momentum going into the finals.
100%. Once again, his aim has been spectacular. It's been better than Raisy's. It's scary, to be honest, considering how dominant Raisy's aim was earlier in the show. It shows that if you think about your fights and your positioning, it doesn't matter how good your opponent's aim is, you can outmaneuver it. Shows how strategical Quake is at the highest level. Raisy has to go back to the drawing board a bit. He manhandled Kilson to a certain extent. The last 2 maps were close, but he didn't even have a look in against Rapha.
It's just different beasts, and it's insane how you feel like you've kind of almost seen the pinnacle. I know that was even mentioned against Kilson, was like some of the best Quake you can really see. And then somehow here comes Rapha and just takes that level one step above. Absolutely congratulations to Rapha, who, you know, he's feeling good about that, but his mission isn't over. Rapha is a #1 or bust kind of guy, but now he finds himself closer to that than anyone so far.
Yeah, and no matter what you think about that, you have to applaud him. It was a masterpiece. Strategy was on point, aim was spectacular. He's definitely developed to a new level, so let's hear what he has to say about that performance.
Wow. again, Rapha, the second time I've had to interview you just keep winning. But what I want to ask you is, outside of the gameplay, before we got into it with the veto, you allowed him to pick clutch. Was that calculated? Was the direct counter an Athena pick from the get-go?
I had a couple ideas of what to do against it, but it really, for him, it comes down to the coin toss. If he wins the coin toss, he's the one that gets to ban a champ for the first map, so he's not going to ban his best champion, right? So I just went with, you know, the best counter that I thought I had, and I had to be hitting my shots, and thankfully I was. And yeah, I don't necessarily know if we have to play again in the grand finals that it would go the same way, but at least I had a game plan going into it because, of course, if I win the toss, I'll always ban it because he's just so good on that champion. But you know, sometimes you don't win the coin toss.
That's fair. That's fair enough. It's always down to the luck of the draw. But when it came to quick drawing with your weaponry, you've been smashing it the entire tournament. I feel like this is some of the best translation of your online form to LAN we've seen in some time. Do you feel confident that this could be the chance you finally have to get your name inscribed on the belt?
Yes, definitely. I think that my shape is even better than it was at QuakeCon, and I was only half a point away from making it to the grand final. And as long as I keep playing the way that I'm playing, I have a really good shot of taking it home.
All right, well, I hope to see it. You've been looking beautiful. Let's head back on over to the desk.
So the coin toss, actually, in hindsight, that really does actually answer the questions we were all asking in the first time, which in itself, it actually does always go back to that preparation that we discussed where, okay, even if it doesn't quite get the ban, what are the options? And there was options. I'm actually curious that he said he had a couple of options. I wonder what the other ones would be, because this one worked out so well that, I mean, what even were the plan Bs?
For me, it would have been anything with speed. So maybe a slash, maybe an anarchy.
This map was a fantastic answer, though. And
it was.
Little did we know at the time, a taste of things to come.
Absolutely.
It's just, I've got to really say that for Raisy to have had as much dominance as he has this weekend, you would have expected him to get at least one, just to have some kind of fighting chance. Rapha just smothered everything.
Absolutely. And I'm not sure Raisy is the person to be disheartened, but it just set the tone for the encounter when, as Rapha said, like, he's so good on that champion, we would normally ban it. And you can't even lay a finger on Rapha. Like, that, for me, would be hugely disheartening. Obviously, Raisy did just play in the series before 10 or so minutes. Whether that had an impact on fatigue, it's not something we can really talk about, because at the end of the day, Rapha was the one who brought the better game. He showed the better aim. As he said himself, and we will agree, this is his best shape we've seen ever. Aim is spectacular, strategy was on point, and as per usual, timing and overall movement and everything just came together at the right time.
The reality is, whoever makes it into the grand finals as the second player, they've got to make sure they're bringing the best Quake they've ever played in their lives, because what we just saw from Rapha is Rapha in what is, as he said himself, high form. This looks like the best Quake Champions form he's had, and this is a mode that he's been refining for many years. You know, we've had Quake Pro League has the time limit duel. Rapha was born and bred in time limit duel. So the point is, whoever comes in the grand finals, I mean, surely they're going to be a bit nervous after seeing this display. He is, without question, the most dominant player of this tournament.
I just love that we're, what, like 20 odd years plus into the Quake series, and people are still finding new ways to stretch the limits of how good people can be in this game.
It's been a really interesting series. Although it was a 3-0, obviously there was so much more depth to it than you can ever try and explain to people that will see that just as a number and a benchmark at home. But it was quite interesting. I know you guys spoke about it a little bit, but the fact we actually got that direct confirmation from Rapha about why he played like that based off the veto, what he's been feeling going into it, and how confident he's been throughout the tournament. Already, he's now basically proven he's come through the upper bracket. He has destroyed any competition on the way. Do you feel like this could actually just be Rapha's tournament hands down now, or
well, it's
is there still
lose.
a chance?
No, it's his to lose.
Okay.
I'll be shocked if he doesn't win it.
We went into this saying, we went into this saying, Raisy and Rapha, like, they're the two outright people that have set a new benchmark for the tournament, and Raisy doesn't even get close. Like, there is no one who has shown us anything that can touch Rapha in this tournament, so someone has to find an extra oomph from somewhere.
Yeah.
And from what Rapha said, it almost makes map 1 even more impressive, that it was out of his control. It was, okay, well, it is what it is, let's roll with the punches, and just, he had strats ready. And again, preparation, he's always ready for this. And even if it wasn't his call, he had some sort of options to work with. Worked out, I definitely think he'll say way better than expected, because that was one of the most one-sided ways we've seen Raisy's clutch actually lose. You rarely see it lose on the best of days, and in the manner it went today was just next level. And he's just showing us many, many firsts, I suppose, and It always comes back to just his form of this weekend. Everything he's doing perfectly. And to match that, you must play perfectly, and if you don't, he's just going to run away with it.
No, that's very true. He might have not got the clutch pick off himself, but he was definitely clutch in his gameplay. Rapha dominates there in 3-0 form and moves on here in the tournament. For now, we're going to be going to a break, though. Head on over to the B stream as well, where we have Kilson taking on base before we come back in for our next series here.